Thank you, Mr. President. Anyone would be moved to be invited to take part in this ceremony this evening. I'm particularly moved to be back with so many friends of a lifetime and to ask of all of us that we rejoice that Herman B. Wells will long be with us as a very real, very human presence before, inevitably, we must surrender him to history and the mists of myth that are sure to follow. We may have seen some of those myths developing even tonight. Each of us here has precious memories of Dr. Wells, very personal, very private recollections to go along with the avuncular public persona Dr. Wells projected. I trust, I hope, there'll be other occasions where we can recall, with some embellishment even, the humorous, the tragicomic, the heroic instances in which we played some small part along with the big fella. For Pat and me, Dr. Wells was our president when first we joined the Indiana University community nearly 50 years ago. He was my mentor, my colleague, my elder brother. He was my constant supporter. He was an extraordinary gift to Indiana and to our Indiana University. And in his lifetime, he grew into a bona fide legend. He immersed himself in the lore and traditions of this place. I remember his telling me that he revered his professors, wanted to know everything he could about them, sought every opportunity to talk informally with them. John, he said to me one day, some of them had teachers who had met George Washington. He said, they made that so real for me that sometimes I thought I'd met George Washington. True. In just such a way, Herman Wells absorbed the passion for Indiana University which inspired William Lowe Bryan, president when Herman was born, and the president whom he succeeded. Countless times, Dr. Wells would cite to me Dr. Bryan's words on this, or on that, or on the next thing. A few times, he said, perhaps the most proper approach of a president to an athletic contest was Dr. Bryan's approach, which he said was at a football game to cheer the Hoosiers on by saying, strive, boys, strive. I say that all the time. Herman loved music and Hoosier athletics. He loved catfish and caviar. He loved each new wave of students and the zest they brought to campus life. He was Hoosier through and through, and also he won the respect of the great and powerful in our nation and in the world. He was a man of uncommon vision. He helped found the United Nations. He was a founder of the International Association of Universities. Bryan himself, 35 years president of this university, in one of his president's columns, which he wrote for the Daily Student, articulated what was to become, I believe, the heart of the vision of Herman Wells. And I quote Bryan, I would exchange all of the immediate, definite things I desire for Indiana University for the devotion of our undergraduates and other young men and women of Indiana to the future ideal university which our state should have. It would, I think, be physically splendid as Athens was splendid. But more than that, it would, I believe, be a source of enlightenment and guidance to a great industrial civilization. But more than that, it would be a place habitable by scholars and by artists, a home of learning, a home of beauty, and something more. It would be a good community. End of quote. I think it's not hyperbole to proclaim Herman B. Wells to be the master creator of that vision. He did construct a university physically splendid as Athens. He did enlist brilliant intellect to form a center of enlightenment and guidance for a vibrant industrial civilization. He achieved a place habitable by scholars, by artists, by all seeking a home of learning, a place of beauty, and his infectious optimism enlivened a community of good men and women. Yes, and something more. He built for the ages, because he leaves as legacy generations of inspired women and men who will forward his vision, as he did Bryan's, who will continue to build the university Indiana should have. May I close with words Bryan recalled from his own student days in Berlin. They reflect, I think, Herman Wells' own perception of history and his place in it. You say time passes. You're wrong. Time is eternal. It is you who pass. We're grateful to have shared some time on this planet with Herman Wells.